You're listening to episode 236 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Eileen Hamra. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and welcome to Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we help you create an awesome life and lifestyle. From nutrition to fitness, mindfulness to peak performance, and relationships to money mindset, we bring you on an amazing journey to help you unleash your human potential. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lifestyle Locker Radio. We have another amazing guest who's been on such an amazing journey in her life, and she's going to tell you all about it. So Eileen, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I love our pre-chat. I love to connect with you. And as I was saying in our chat before we hit the record button, you know, your story is so deep, and everybody, you're going to learn this, but her story is so powerful. And I really think, you know, she's going to, like, you may feel down a little bit, but you're going to come out glowing out of the other end of this conversation. So Eileen, give everybody your story, because when they're going to be watching this eventually, they're going to go, wow, This woman is like so put together. She's professional. Look at all the things she's done in her life. Holy cow. And but where you came from, right? Like it's powerful.
Yeah. So, this is part of the story. So the story I'm going to share, because I'm 50 years old now, so I have a lot of story, but the one that,
well, the big story, right?
The big story, the one I wrote the book about, but the one that I like to share about is, so when I was 41, I was married, happily married, 3 young kids. They were 4, 7, and 8. And 3 days before Christmas, my husband, Brian, was flying, and his plane crashed and did not make it. And so the story is the story I share in the book, but the story I like to share about and hopefully give people hope is that journey of, like, you know, going through the depths of awful grief and then coming out, creating a new life, which I had no idea what that would look like when I, you know, showed up at the airport and was told his plane did not make it. And then, creating a new life, falling in love again, and then creating a new family and welcoming another child into the family. So that's the story.
That's the short story.
That's the short. Yeah. It did not happen that quickly. That was a, 7, 8 year journey, but yeah.
So I want to like break some of the pieces of the story apart, because I know certain things have led you to where you are right now. You know, you have a book, you know, Time to Fly, you have Fit Together, you have these things going on in your life. You said new love, all of this stuff, and marriage, right? Amazing. But that journey, like you said, 7 to 8 years was not like, you know, oh, we're just going to change, shift, and the gears get rolling. So what brought you to start to write this book? What was the thoughts in that?
The inspiration. Yeah. So, right after Brian died, like, there were a bunch of sort of synchronistic, I call them miracle moments. And I think a lot of people who have people lose people or go through loss say, or like, oh my God, I feel him around, or like weird things happen. And I would share those stories. And one of the stories I share a lot is the day after Brian passed, there was a gentleman that called the airport and wanted to talk to me, and he happened to be a funeral director. And I was like, that's really kind of odd for, you know, ambulance chasing funeral director to call and want to like get in touch. I was like, that's weird. But my brother was like really insistent and said, hey, you know, why don't you give him a call? And he said, so I did. And his name was Al Cooner. And he's like, Eileen, I'm a pilot. I landed a half an hour before Brian was supposed to land. I heard him in the pattern, and I want to take care of all of your funeral expenses.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. And then he said, it was Christmas. So we had to do Christmas because believed in Santa Claus. And he's like, we're not going to plan anything right this minute, but, you know, the day after Christmas, I'll set you up with someone who can help plan. And I wanted it to be a celebration of life. And I grew up Catholic, but we were not practicing. I'm spiritual, but not particularly religious, and neither was Brian. So as a couple, we were like, where are we going to have this celebration of life? And the day after Christmas, I connect with this person, and they said, well, how about, and suggested this venue that I didn't even know existed. They were like, how about the Baltimore Museum of Industry? It's a business museum. Brian was a serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
From a child, like from when he was 6, and it has a twin engine plane hanging from the ceiling. And I was like, holy shit, excuse me,
You're allowed. It's fair. Fair
I'm allowed
game.
to cuss. Okay, good. We didn't cover that. I was like, oh my God, like, and it just felt like I was being taken care of. And I would tell people these stories, and they're like, oh my God, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. And I am not by trade a writer. I'm MBA in finance, and my second career is the holistic health and well-being, but like writing was never my dream. But I heard it enough, and I listened, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write this thing. And then it took years of fits and starts, finding people to help me. And finally, it was interesting. It was like, it actually wasn't until I had lived many years after, so that I could live the story that I could tell in the book. And so, I started writing right after, and that was inspiring, but it wasn't until actually I was pregnant with my son, my latest son, that I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is the whole story. This is the story that wants to be told.
That's so wild. I always say it's like really no coincidences, right? Like the universe is like, I'm a pilot. We're going to set up in this museum with the twin engine plane in the cover of the book, right? Like, it's like all of this stuff. I'm going, holy cow. I'm thinking to myself, this is wild. That is simply amazing. So, I mean, if you didn't start getting like the knocking in your brain saying maybe it's time to do something alone, like just write this book. I mean, that was like the universe talking to you.
And it wouldn't let me go. I think a lot of people that have these projects or whatever, like, as many times I was like, I don't need to write that thing. But then someone would ask me, how's your book going? And I'd be like, oh yeah, right, I will do this. And there were people in my life that kept asking me about it. And I was like, I don't know, like you're an ultra marathoner, but I ran one marathon in my life. And one of the reasons I ran it was because I told people I would run it.
Yeah.
And then I was like too embarrassed not to run it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to run this. And I had told enough people that I would write this book that I was like, I just got to do it. At this point, I just have to do it. And I finally found someone to help me, Christine Fadden, who's amazing. And and it's out. So it's done.
So right now, who would be the person, like who's the person that needs to read this book?
So, I would say it's a good story. I mean, it's my story, and there's so many things that, like, people who need hope, people who have maybe been through experiences that they didn't expect, they didn't want, they were, sidelined, they came, it was like about face, and are looking for, like, how the hell did she get out? How did she come out of that and create something new? And I do have a great life. And sometimes, it's hard to say that because you worry about offending people. Like, do I miss Brian? Yes. And am I in love with my new husband? Yes. And those are really hard to bring together. And I didn't have any capacity to do that before. I'd never had that experience. But for people that, want that or explore, whether they wanted it or not, they're having to go through it. But it's just a story of hope, and it's and it's a short read. It doesn't take too long. It's fun.
Yeah. So
it's a good read.
I'm just thinking, my personal life experience. I think, everybody wants hope, right? Yeah. So it may not just be like, if you can read, it might be a good book for you type of, I may be wrong, but hope is something that's so powerful. I mean, we look at where we are in the world today, and we're seeing so many crazy things happen, suicides rising like crazy with kids and divorces and all of this stuff going on. I mean, this book, it couldn't be a better time for someone to get a book like this, to put their mind into it, to hear a true story. Yeah. It ends, it's a good fairy tale ending.
It is. It is. And, like all good fairy tales, it wasn't without a lot of pain and suffering
Hmm.
along the way. Like,
Yeah.
Cinderella had an evil stepmother, and I didn't, and I don't, and I'm lucky in that regard. But it's like, people want the fairy tale. And I do. I have an amazing new husband, and have been able to add to my family, but it was not,
Mm.
wonderful the whole way. And I think, when I did lose Brian, and I remember searching for those stories myself, and that was one of the inspirations for sharing mine. And I remember like hanging on this one woman's every word of like, how did you do it? And so
Well,
people
you're
need.
inspiring to me. So thank you very
Oh,
much
thank
for
you,
it's
thank
I
you.
love being able to have a day like where I get to have a conversation with someone like you that just gets to lift my spirits, and I think I'm down in the dumps and I'm coming out like trying to come out of certain things. It's like, wow, this is like you got to hit rock bottom and then go a little bit
Yeah,
deeper to come out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's amazing. So I want to pivot a little bit because I think this
Sure.
all will come into play. You have Fit Together, it's a whole other totally different program, company, everything. And you said you come, I wish I didn't know that finance background, right? So
Yeah.
where was this shift in your head where you decided I need to start taking care of my health? Because I'm probably going to live a long time and you have kids.
I have 4 kids. Yeah, now. So, funny, like so that marathon that I ran, I was 28 at the time. And after the marathon, I had a quarter pounder with cheese,
Mm,
supersized fries, 32-ounce Diet Coke, and an apple pie. And I did not, and I used to train and eat like boxes of Velveeta mac and cheese. And I was 28, and I was single, and I didn't have any children yet, and I didn't know a lot about nutrition or health. Um, Although I probably didn't need to know a lot to know that that probably wasn't the best
yeah.
after exercising meals. But I deserved it, right? So anyway, and then I had kids, and when I became a mom, I was, these little beings are like my responsibility, and feeding them is one of your primary jobs when they're really teeny tiny. And I remember like wanting to feed them organic vegetables and fruits. And there was this one day, and I literally like remember I was like feeding Brooke, she's number 2, and she's 6 months old, and I'm forcing her to eat, not forced, she probably liked it, carrots. And I was like, and I'm drinking a Diet Coke and wheat thins. And I was like, I would
Mm,
never give these to her. And it made me think. And I used to say, I am never going to give up Diet Coke. And okay, if Diet Coke is your thing and you're never going to give it up, I pass no judgment. And for me, but I was clear, I was never going to give that up. And then and then slowly I was like, step by step, little by
mm.
little, I did. I was like, and now I don't even like it anymore, which is shocking.
Good.
I do. Yeah, I know. But I would never have imagined, but it was a
Mm,
journey. My health, was a journey, and it isn't always like I'm super perfect. There are times, especially during COVID, I think everybody kind of flipped backwards a little, like, comfort foods were maybe in my diet a little bit more, but in general, I know that I feel better and am better for my family, and everyone who actually interacts with me
hmm
when I am exercising and eating right. And so it just works. So, and for me, it was actually pretty foundational to that actually allowed me to get through the grief. I'm clear that being physically healthy at the time helped a lot. Not like you
Mm,
have to be, but thank God I was, because I could handle it.
yeah.
And so all of that, really inspires me to try to support people in living their healthy life.
Yeah.
So
So I just to
yeah,
like to bounce back to what you just said, like with grieving and being healthy, it makes a huge difference because you're fueling the thing that's upstairs,
yeah,
right? Things that are junky, you're going to create junky things in the brain, right?
yeah.
Neurologically. So yeah, your thoughts and everything to become clearer without a doubt. So doing the right thing, which you did, is definitely would make an easier difference or better difference doing that. So would you also say this then, or I want to know actually your opinion. So would you say the marathon was your like my my healthy lifestyle shift, or was the food the actual shift? What do you think, or what is more important for you? Like, which really kicked in the butt to go?
So, so I was always an athlete. So like I was a
Okay.
swimmer growing up, long distance swimmer. So like exercising, I'm lucky. I've always liked it, right? So like no one ever had to, but I also really like food.
Mhm.
And so for me, I would say it really is a combination of movement and nutrition,
Mhm.
and lifestyle, all the other components, like there's a holistic,
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
but they feed on each other. It's like when your relationships and your finances, like speaking to acquired to you, but it's like it is about a holistic perspective
Mhm.
on health. But but often, food and nutrition are fundamental to the physical being. So
Yeah.
yeah,
You are what you eat, right? We've all heard that.
you absolutely, it's so funny because I remember trying to teach my kids this and they're like, I was like, but what else could you possibly be? I was like, you're made up of stuff and there's no other stuff coming at you, maybe some sunlight, but like you literally grow inside of you from what you put inside of you. So
Yeah.
like, but we are detached as a culture,
Yeah,
as
of
a
course.
society. We don't think of the connection so much, just we're just not taught that. But once you know that,
Yeah.
and once you are exposed to it and you really start tuning into how certain things make you feel when you eat them or don't eat them, you're like, whoa,
Mhm.
okay, this
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. I would have this
Yeah.
conversation with my wife, and I'm not sure if you know the name, Dr. Jack Wolfson. Called the paleocardiologist. He's a cardiologist, obviously. And I would say I almost feel like I'd have to earn my right to eat meat. I'd have to learn to hunt and do like the whole thing, so I know what it really is like to earn that fuel. I haven't done it yet, but I like it's something that's really on my list. So I can like that's the food I'm going to eat. It's
Yeah.
well, I know it's organic, it's grass fed. We have an organic garden at our house. Um, so yeah, it's kind of wild this shift I've made. I was probably not like many other kids growing up, in Taco Bell and all of these
Yeah.
things because I everything so you take everything for granted. You're 16, 17, 18, who cares?
Right. You
But
don't actually feel that bad when you wake up after
yeah,
that.
exactly.
But you
But
get a
yeah,
little older, you're like, ooh,
yeah,
I
well,
can't do that
100%. Like,
anymore.
and I think everybody goes on their own version of that journey. But for me, it was the same type of thing. It was like, wow, if I want to actually perform, if I want to have energy, if I want to have like my brain, my thoughts going in the right direction, what I put in my body is the most important thing in the planet every single day because I have that opportunity so many times.
Yeah,
So many
absolutely.
times, probably more
Yeah.
than most things, right? Um, so for you with Fit Together, I have the website open on my screen in front of me here. When we were in our chat before, you mentioned like yoga instructor training, like so you have like you're like this woman of many different talents. It's like, who is this? A marathon
Well,
nutrition?
that
I'm a yoga
marathon was just
instructor.
once.
I'm a financier. Like, who are you?
Who am
I've
I?
seen
Yeah.
Wonder Woman. I've seen Wonder Woman on TV before, but tell me what's going
Yeah.
on. What's this? Why dive into yoga that way?
Yeah. So for me, I was practicing yoga when Brian passed.
Okay.
It's funny because like after the marathon, my low back, whatever, was not so happy with me. So I was actually looking for something to kind of replace the running a bit. And I got into hot yoga.
Okay.
Really as exercise. It wasn't like a particularly spiritual practice for me, but hot yoga for me was like exercise. So that was sort of how I got in, and had been practicing for 8 years, 7 years when Brian died, and it was a lifeline for me. Like
Okay.
it was one of the first things I got back to. I was not doing was not, I did a lot of power and hot yoga. And so it was more, I went chilled out a bit, but every time I would do yoga, I would feel better. And I talk about opening your mind. Like I would feel clearer and I would
Mm.
feel almost like a little like I was having spiritual openings when I
Yeah.
would practice. And part of that is breath, right? Breath work. And it really inspired me. I was like, I gotta figure this out. I gotta have to why.
Yeah.
I'm,
Okay.
curious, and why is it when I'm in warrior pose or mountain pose or child's pose or camel where I'm opening my heart, like, why does that make any difference? Versus
Mhm.
like just walking around. So that's when I decided to learn to teach yoga and really explore further. And so that's where the yoga teacher training came in. And then I have this business background and this passion for health and well-being, and where I've really found my, I don't know, niche, or the thing that makes me really happy is to support others and spreading the word, right? Like you were providing this opportunity for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I do that for other yoga teachers, other nutritionists. So I have a group of yoga teachers and other holistic practitioners now in Chicago that are working mostly in underserved communities and neighborhoods, but also for anybody who kind of wants to engage and get healthy. So that's kind of that random thought,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And the reason I ask, I had a patient, a couple, but one just yesterday who recently finished her yoga teacher training. And I asked her like, why? I love asking because people like they open up. And she goes, I've done yoga for many years. I think she's in her like mid-20s or late 20s. I don't remember. And I've done it for so many years. And it's not something you like choose to do. It calls you. It calls you to do it. She goes, I was flexible. I could do all of the poses, but there was something that just kind of like pulled me in. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Like in my profession as a chiropractor, they say, you don't choose chiropractic chooses you.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that same, like you had that calling, just that you needed to go deeper.
Yeah. And explore and for me understand. And how are we all, the mind, body, spirit, right? How is it all connected? And it's my journey's not over. There's plenty to learn, there's plenty to explore.
Of course.
But that was part of it.
So you have these two sites that I have open in front of me, the Eileen Robertson Hamra.com and FitTogetherLLC.com. How do they blend? Because when I think of like holistic life or wellness or lifestyle, they're both there. They're like, they're together already.
Yeah. So, so the Eileen website was generated because I was coming out with this book and wanting to offer, it's pretty vulnerable, by the way. I'm sure like you're out there, what it's like to put yourself out there. So, but I worked hard on that book and I worked hard on creating that message, like most people. But I was like, well, if I'm going to actually do this, I'm going to try to do a really, really good job.
That site's beautiful also. I was looking through like, wow, that's pretty impressive. I could learn something from this.
So I, especially when it's your brand, right? You're like, okay, I want this to be good. So, and to be of service, really, right? So, and I do want the book to be of service. So that's where that brand came out. And then at the same time, I was forming my partnership in Chicago with Fit Together and doing that in partnership with others. Anyway, so they work together. The one program, and actually I'm relaunching this, is I have been trained to help people through grief.
Okay.
And so I did the Life Reentry training, and I'm combining that with like yoga and nutrition, and then enabling people to be in community and relaunch their lives, right? Like that whole idea
that
of
sounds
like,
great.
Yeah. So that's coming soon. Mid-April, we'll be launching a new cohort of that. So that I'm excited about that. So that's sort of where the Eileen brand and the Fit Together brand
fit together.
Truly fit together. Yes, isn't that? Yeah, and I'm doing it with my partners because Melissa is a yoga teacher and Tiani is, so whatever people need as they're healing, we've got resources for them.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I love the name. I was thinking Fit Together. Like it has so many meanings in one shot. I'm sure that's why you picked it.
Yes.
Without it, I'm like, that's really clever. I like that a lot. So let's finish with these questions here. There's a few things I like to ask people. Actually, it's only one question, but you had to have 3 answers. Okay.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
That's one question.
Pressure's on. Okay.
All right. No, it's simple, and I don't prep anybody for this. So because I want it to be vulnerable. I want it to be real. I want it to come right out of your mouth. So, if you had to tell our audience, your audience, everybody who's listening now and watching, what 3 things would you tell them if they had to unleash their human potential today? What were the 3 action steps you'd give them?
Okay. One, I'm thinking, even if you're afraid, do it anyway.
I like that one. I think it's the first of the show. Very cool.
Yeah. There's a lot about coming out after, bad stuff happening, and you've got all the right reasons to be afraid, and do it anyway. The other thing, absolutely, I just got chills actually. I was like, if you want it, even if you think it's not possible, explore it and go for it. And part of my story, and I didn't get to go into detail, but it was having a baby at 46. And it was no way that was possible in my world when I was like 43 thinking about it. And I was like, but that's what I want. That's what we want. And then as soon as I started taking actions, holy shit, I had.
Yeah, baby. Let it out. I had Love it.
So even if you don't think it's possible, maybe you're wrong. And go for it. And then the last thing is listen to your gut and listen to your intuition and trust yourself. Yeah, that's three things.
Those are good. Those are really good. Those are really good. Not what I was going to expect from you, but I think those are awesome. Those are like way better. way better. That's really, really cool. So everybody who's listening and watching, this is Eileen. Connect with her. More about her in the show notes below that you're going to be able to scroll down to. Connect with her. Check her book out. Get her book. Like we said, if you can read, get the book. Get the book. It has a potential to change your life, maybe your thinking, maybe how you take those action steps. Like you said, maybe you're afraid to do something. The book may help. And then definitely check out Fit Together. I know this is the right tribe for that. Definitely check out her website. Because right now you can tell that both of us fit together, right? We're having this conversation. So definitely check out Fit Together LLC. And Eileen, thank you so much. This has been a blast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been
glad to share you.
Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Lifestyle Locker Radio. I know I did. I want to make sure you stick around for the next few minutes and listen to the details about our 3065 Lifestyle Shift program. It's our entry-level, awesome program. It's something that everybody can afford. And more importantly, it's something that everyone should and could apply in their lives to make themselves healthier, even just for a little bit. So stick around, listen to our little infomercial on the 3065. And if you can watch it, even better. Enjoy. Hey, it's Dr. Josh Hant here, and we need to talk about your health, your fitness, and your lifestyle. I know you, if you're like me, you've seen sickness and disease and even death in your life. And we know the leading causes of death in the United States are cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Many of these conditions and diseases are considered lifestyle-based. And I know that lifestyles in the United States and other countries are not where they should be. We also know that they make you more vulnerable to other sicknesses and conditions. We tend to get our advice and recommendations on health from commercials and marketing, from fast food to pharmaceuticals, and not from experts with real-world experience. Unfortunately, we follow people or products who don't walk the walk or talk the talk. They simply just don't care about your health. It's just about their bottom line. I know we've heard it from our friends and from even our own self-talk that we don't have enough time, we can't make the changes, or there's just too much to do to be healthy. But there is a way to actually take control of your lifestyle and have the accountability and the support you need. We can be bigger than our excuses. For the past 14 years as a chiropractor, I've worked and continue to work with thousands of patients with their lifestyle and ultimately their health. I am now bringing the same philosophy to the online space where we can work as a group to get better, stronger, healthier, and be bigger than our excuses every single day. I've created the 3065 Lifestyle Shift Program to be an online-based, training-based program where you get to learn and be engaged with others in your journey towards a healthy lifestyle and ultimately a healthier life. To be part of this amazing movement, it's just $5 a month. Yes, it's only $5 a month, and that seems too good to be true. Well, it's not. So for the price of a gourmet coffee, you will have access to an amazing program and amazing people that want the best for you too. So when you dive into the content below this video to learn about our lifestyle philosophy, you'll see that we are incredibly unique. No other online program focuses on lifestyle the way we do and delivers the quality and the quantity of content that we do for just $5 a month. And it's not just about the movement. There's a lot more. It's really about your health. So check out the details and other videos below. And when you sign up, I'll even send you the ebook, Inside the Locker, which dives deeper into creating an awesome lifestyle. I look forward to seeing you on the inside of the Lifestyle Locker 3065 Lifestyle Shift Program.